All right, so what can we go over? What do you want to start with? What's been
Okay, so
troubling you?
it, essentially it's not so much the pairs per se, but it's trying to identify directions on lower time frames because the thing is that because I work another job, right? So I don't have the liberty of time to stare at the charts the entire day. So I usually try and like trade the 15 minutes and below. But the thing is that as I start to scale down, right, then structure gets a bit confusing. So I start to have issues trying to find zones that I should actually take. And
Have you seen
in
webinar
addition,
14?
I did, yeah. So that helped quite a bit. But
Yeah.
the thing is that I wanted to like, try and see if you had you know um
I mean,
any
so there's
other
nothing I can really
framework.
there's not much except for the fact that I can tell you what I know, which is that every time frame structure is going to be the same across all time frames. The only difference is it happens faster. That's it. There's no difference.
Okay.
It seems different because there's a lot more switches. Because, for instance, if we look at this 1 minute chart right here, I mean, even if you look at this and you think about it, if this was a monthly time frame right now, if this was a monthly time frame right here, we'd say, okay, it's a monthly bullish time frame, monthly bullish, and we're in this monthly bullish, and we're probably targeting this monthly right here. Right? If this was a monthly, now this is like already a few weeks, and you're like, yep, I was right, good bullish directional bias. But the fact that it's on a 1 minute, it doesn't feel monthly. See, there you go. Beautiful trade. Right? On a lower time frame, there's probably a mini reaccumulation there to go higher if we looked inside it. That exact same thing that we just looked at right there with bullish structure still delivering, is the exact same thing you see on an actual monthly. Bullish structure, still probably delivering. Great. No difference. The only difference is this will take you about 3 months, and this will take you about 1 minute. That's the only difference. It feels different because it's a much smaller time frame, but there's no difference. So, for instance, when we're on a monthly, and for instance, when you see big bullish break, and then it becomes bearish inside, and then goes fully bearish and doesn't hold the bullish, it seems like, if you think about this as a 1 minute chart, it's the same thing. There's bullishness that's also bearish, and it's tricking you out. But the fact that it happens over however long this took, over 3,256 days, feels like, it's easier to be on the higher, but it's not. It's the same thing. Right?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's no difference. It's just your own psychology getting in your own way. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else, because structure is the same no matter what. Like back here, if I showed you this, what would you say about the structure? Well, it's bearish, and it's probably going to continue bearish from either right here or from right here, because this move here was responsible for this break, and this move is responsible for the inside break. So you get your first sell here, great sell on a lower time frame, doesn't even get lower. Then you get your next sell here, very small short-term sell before it breaks. And now if you think about it, structure didn't hold at all, but it feels like it's holding because it's taken so long. It took however long this took, like 6 years just to get up here, right? So
Okay.
it feels like structure isn't doing anything different. But if we go to a 5 minute and we look at the same thing and we just look at this, well, right now what we're getting is a bullish break, and this could take the next 10 minutes to get back in. But if this was a monthly chart, we'd be like, okay, in a few years we're going to get here, which means anything on a lower time frame, like 15 second right now, like this, that if, for instance, it broke this low, let's say that's a daily chart, you can go for sells like that. You see? Because you're looking for it to come here. And now it feels like it's much quicker, and like structure is all over the place, but again, it's delivering higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, test the area, higher high, test the area, higher high, test the area, higher high, probably test the area. Keep doing until it breaks, and then it goes short. No difference.
Okay.
There's no difference. The time frames is like, there's literally just no difference. That's pretty much it. Like,
But couldn't the so like for example, if I scale down, right, and then ultimately, so like let's say if I only look at structure on, like, let's say a single time frame, let's say like 15 minutes, right?
okay,
Then if structure is, let's say, if it's currently bullish, right, but in essence, couldn't the overall trend be actually bearish?
Yeah.
Which means that I'm going
Zoom
counter
out.
trend then.
Zoom out. There you go. This is over, I don't even know. This is over 2 months of data. Yeah, this is 2 months of data right here on a 15-minute chart. So what's it telling you? It went bearish. Inside of this bearish push, it's bearish, still bearish. If we have a bullish pullback, it'll be into here. Okay, great. So your 15-minute is either we want to get up here on the MentaFX block to continue bearish, or we remain the inside bearishness, which is right now lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and now we can look for lower high, lower low again inside of here. So if this fails, we know that we're heading towards here, and then we can take that up. That's it. And if you want to go all the way into your 15-minute, then you have the inside of that, which is part of this break, which could be heading back into here, which means that all this is bearish, and that's where I sold from right here this morning. Sell in to continue that bearish push. So again, doesn't, you can be on one time frame if you want, but again, you're not on a time frame. There's no such thing as time frames, like I always say.
Okay.
So don't think there's only a 15-minute or a 1 hour. They're the same thing. You can see the 15-minute and the hourly. Like it's the same move. You can see them both. You just need to understand where that structure is. So again, that's going to come with webinar 14, weekly study. You need to practice it to find out exactly where you are in a market.
In essence, right? Is it also possible that like let's say like if I'm looking at, so okay, I know that the idea of time frame is kind of irrelevant here, but in essence, if I scale down, so like let's say like if I'm looking at the overall trend, which is like maybe like over a 2-month period, which is bullish, right? But the thing is, if I scale down too low, then isn't that trend kind of not really validated then?
What do you mean?
So like let's say that my overall trend on, like, let's say, okay, the thing is that, okay, I mean since we have time frames, right? So then let's say that if I use like 15 minutes, right? So in essence, so as I start to scale down to look for like actual structure on like the 5-minute or the 1 minute, right? And then isn't it possible then that like I will be seeing structural breaks that are not actually validated?
I don't understand I don't really understand the question, sorry.
Okay, okay, maybe it would be a lot simpler if we can to do a full top down then, like just like one pair.
Well, we just did it on EU, right? We just literally did it.
Okay.
Bearish price action. Inside of that bearish price action, we have this bearish price action. Within that bearish price action, we have this bearish price action. And right now, what we're looking for is technically for the continuation from here. If this fails, we know that the probability is that price will actually make its way towards here. And if it clears this, we know it's going to start clearing this, this, and this to come and run all these highs.
Okay.
So that's your top down. Basically, that's how we think. So what's the... So like, what did you mean by your question? I'm still a little bit confused.
So in essence, so like some of the trades that I took over the past week was that it seems to have been that a lot of my direction was off, even though based on like, okay, like the thing is that I normally look for structure on the 15 minutes, then I look for my zones on the 5, and then I entries on the second chart, because I only have like 2-3 hours a day to actually
okay
trade.
So where did you look? So if it was this week, let's look at EU. Circle for me. Go find the annotate and draw for me. Show me where you looked, where you were wrong.
I didn't take EU. I took a. Hold on, let me open my MT. So the ones that I took were, okay, hold on. I did take EU, but EU was 6th of July. I took on 18789, 1.18789.
The 6th?
Yeah, 6th of July.
Okay, in here?
Yeah, 1.18789. I took a sell.
Okay, that's great. That's a good sell.
Yeah, but so I sold 2, but I lost it.
How did you lose this sell?
I guess it hit my stop because I used wick off, but I don't think the wick off was actually validated at that point in time. So then end of the day, then I lost it.
Okay, so it sounds like you know your own issue there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't seem like it needs anything.
Then my AUD trade that I took on 5th of July, which I think is the directional problem here, which is so 5th of July, 0.75175. I took a sell.
Up here? In here?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I'll ask you the question, like if you read where you are, lower low, lower high, lower low. So where's price heading for when it's coming up? Right, like
somewhere in that zone lah.
I'm saying, right? Bearish structure, Mantafx block. When price gets here, what do you expect? To go bearish. Okay. Happens again. Lower high, lower low. Okay, when price gets back right here, what are you going to expect? Bearishness.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Now let's say it doesn't. and it goes lower high, lower low. Okay. What are you going to look for when price gets here? What are you going to expect? Bearishness. Okay. So that's your top-down bigger structure. If that fails, what's price going to probably do? It's going to start running these highs, and maybe even these highs to get back up into the bigger time frame, which honestly is up here. Which now, because we can't keep scrolling, we can go a little bit higher just to look at it. There it is. So we know this entire break is coming from up here, which means price will probably head towards this MB or maybe 50% to target this liquidity. And now we know that if this fails, we can probably begin to look for the bullishness to come and take out these highs. There you go.
Okay.
You see how we're not using time frames don't exist. I'm not looking at time frame here. I'm looking at delivery of price, right? You understand how I'm looking at this? I'm looking at multiple institutional structure. This is section 1 material right here, where you have one structure here. You have the structure inside of that, which is smaller, and all that structure gives you great entries to go short, to go short, to go short, to go short. It still actually might come up here for a short. You see that? So this is where structure can get a little bit ambivalent and go a little bit back and forth. But you know, if you had this POI and this POI, and you said, "Can I sell from them?" I'm like, yeah. You can look for a confirmation in here to go short, and you can look for confirmation in here to go short. If this fails, I believe that we will start unloading a bullish structure, and we won't hold this or this or this. It's probably going to target all this as liquidity. Why? Because the next area of interest would be this one, because that's what created the bigger institutional push, right?
Okay.
Now, if you're talking about intraday and stuff, well, then you know that you're part of this bearish move, and we just came under this low, which means all these sell stops have been taken, which means we're probably going to start some kind of bullish trend, most likely. We don't know if we will. Now, if we just take a look at even the intraday, I mean, right now you have this bearish structure right here. So yeah, it's coming up to test this, and you can look for sells here, but is it more likely to come and sell from here, or is it more likely to come and take all this liquidity like it did and start going higher? So based on what you think, and I think it would go higher, I'd wait for this break and then start looking to take that higher into these zones and then targeting all this liquidity. You see that? Again, it's a question of understanding where you are in structure and then saying, okay, what's the most likely structure move, and then confirming that. So even though there might be a nice sell in here right now, like you could go like this and find some mem block sell in there, maybe even on 1 minute. Like, yeah, there's already been a sell here. Like if you looked at this, there's this delivery of bullish structure, fails right here, fails right there. That's double MB entry. This is all profit right here. You could have taken. Comes up, gets you back at break even after partials, and now you're waiting again for new highs. And then it could come up here, take out these highs, make a distribution again, and you can sell all this down into either completely new lows or into a reaccumulation, which begins to go higher, which means either you partial and then break even, or you partial and then get huge profits. You see? Back and forth.
Okay.
So based on time frame you're on, you're going to see those type of movements. And again, even though we look at this, it might seem confusing because there's a lot more, but then imagine it's a monthly chart. Well, okay, the last few months I've had all this stuff, and then we broke out, and this is a bullish move. So now, honestly, if price ever came here on a monthly level, that's a great buy. Okay, well, it's the same thing on a 1 minute. There's no difference. This is just a larger MB right here. If price comes back down into here and takes out this liquidity, and we get some reason to go long, then we know that that's a good reason to go long. You see that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no difference between time frames, though. The structure is the same thing. Structure doesn't change because you're on a lower time frame. Structure only becomes faster and delivers faster. That's it. What I mean by that, if we go to a daily and just go like this, and just go like this, right? And then I zoomed in on this and said, okay, where's structure heading? Right? I mean, where's structure heading? Well, it's hard to tell now, because you only have one time frame again, and there's a lot of this stuff in here, and there's a lot of this stuff, and now you're like, well, I want to sell from here, but I really don't know if that wants to hold. And when I play it quickly, this is what a second time frame chart looks like, pretty much. Here's your second time frame. Look, sells. There were some sells, and then it failed. Okay, well, now let's look at what a 1 minute chart looks like. The same way. Okay, well, it's looking pretty bearish. Looks like the exact same chart now. So maybe I want to sell here. Oh, look, it's moving the exact same way. There's no difference. Okay, it doesn't get that deep. Maybe make some liquidity, start taking out lows. So now if we get an intermediary shift, we know we're probably going to head up there. Oh, okay, cool. Let's see if we get that. Oh, there's my shift. I want to go bullish now. Oh, doesn't happen. Oh, get another bullish shift. Now I can go bullish again. Oh, great. Are we going to target my liquidity now? Let's hope so. Oh, it's taken a few months to do it. Oh, there we go. We target our liquidity, right? Like, you understand? There's no difference. It's just Again, there's going to be times where the daily is confusing and you don't know where you are. Just because it travels slower doesn't mean that it's better, right? Like this break of structure happened. We don't know this one did the hold. We confirmed that holding. And because it's a higher time frame, we allowed ourselves to confirm it with a lower time frame. That's why we like to go between multiple. Now we can confirm this move in here and be part of the MentaFX blocks breaks here, or even on lower time frames, the movements inside of up there as well, whatever's in here. And again, it's the same thing. You get movements that start to go bearish, you maybe get in on them, then it goes bullish, but you know that this bullish push is fake because you know you're still bearish from here. And then as it begins to break more structure inside and break more structure inside, you look to take that to the downside. And you can then use all the ment blocks on the way down to take that short because you know that your bias is short, since that's where you wanted to short from.
Okay.
Yep. That's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, like there's not much there. This is all like section 1 stuff, and so and I went over it with a lot of other one-on-ones. But again, it's just coming to practicing it. It's not just me saying something won't change shit. You need to go and look at it and practice it, and then visualize and do the weekly study like the one I posted. Like for instance, where was it? Yeah, like the weekly study I posted here, where I said, okay, find where you are, decide the multiple structures, find the major places they came from, and understand why this could be bullish and this could be bullish at the same time. And then when price gets there, understand why this bullishness that then failed wasn't a bearish break. It was part of a larger time frame meeting of structure, the orange area, to keep going long. And guess what? It delivered perfectly, right? So it's the idea of just testing that and seeing it for yourself to understand where you are in the market. That way, when you see breakdowns and moves up, and you can look at any time frame and understand where you probably are. 1 hour, I mean, I'm viewing over a year of data here, just with the 1 hour. And I can see that this is all, this move here is held up by this move here, which means if price is even coming towards, if it is bearish, it's going to be bearish until here. So great. How can I be still bearish into there? Well, ever since this price broke here in structure, guess where it came to test? The top side of this ment block. Great. Broke structure again. So if it ever comes back up, where could it test before coming here? This ment block. Great. Let me look for sells here on a higher time frame to go short. Or you can do the same thing on a 30-second, right? We go look at a 30-second chart and we take a look at this. That's as far as out we can go. And we go, okay, well, this whole break here was caused by this ment block, maybe 50%. So if price ever gets here, we can short it. And this is all liquidity. Great. Which means that right now we're breaking structure up. So if right here we get a confirmation to go long, we can buy that. Same thing. No difference. Just faster. That's it. 1 second chart. Okay. Delete all this shit. Here we go. Let's zoom out. There, that's all we have. Okay, so we know that this break is coming from here, which means price is probably going to come here. This structure inside is being held up by this move and this move. If we break this low, we're very much going to probably dump into here. And then we can look for buys up there. Or we can already wait for this break and then look to sell this ment block right here with confirmation to go short and take that down. See? No difference. Literally no difference. I can talk about every single one of these markets, every single time frame the same way. Gold, 1 second chart. Okay, sure. Here we go. Okay, well, we know that this bullish break here came from this break right here, which means this is your MentaFX block, which we can refine to maybe this area right here. So we know if we go bearish, it's going to go here. We've already swung bearish, created this high. Here's your ment block. We're testing it right now. So right now, if we get a shift of structure, so we have buying climax, ARST, or we have just bullish structure, bullish structure, bullish structure. So if we get a breakdown below this low or this low, we can look to sell that. Why? Because then we know we're probably going to come target this low. Done. Same trade. No difference. You see that?
Yeah.
Or just by zooming out a little bit, you could maybe look at this and say, okay, so this bullish break could be part of actually this bearishness. So we might be even heading all the way up here as a long-term target. Whoops. As a long... Whoops. Where'd it go? There we go. As a longer-term target. There we go. Great. So if we know we're bullish till there, then, you know, we're already seeing this happen. So we know that if we really want a good buy, that good buy is going to be from here. So all we do is we set that up. Boom. Set an alert. Great. That's an alert set. Set an alert here. Or actually here, because this is the new structural point. And now we say, okay, if this alert goes off first, this is canceled. If this alert goes off first, then we can target here. See that?
Okay. Okay. I kind of getting it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help make some sense though?
Yeah, I think that I've rewatched all the course content, right, every times, right? So I'm kind of decent with the idea of structure, but in essence, because when I start to example, okay, I'm going to bring up a time frame again, right? Now in essence, so let's say that if I zoom out, so if I zoom out and I use your what you call that, the golden goose, right? So basically, like if I zoom out, then ultimately, so let's say my overall structure is, for example, it could be bearish, but when I zoom in a bit, then it's bullish. I zoom out again, it's bearish. So the thing is that as I start to zoom in, it gets very
Okay, well here's the thing. If the overall is bearish, and then you're telling me it's bullish, like where's the bullish? In here? If this is bullish, then you know that that bullishness is probably to come and test this mem block. So you can trade this bullishness, but you know that this bullishness is short-lived. So when that bullishness fails, you know that this failure could mean we're ready to target the higher level bearishness. And now we have bearish plus bearish. Or even on a lower time frame as you do it, you might see this bullish. Okay, great, it's bullish, but that doesn't mean anything because this bullishness is targeting this bearishness to then continue shifting bearish, to then continue to push back down. And even when it comes like this, and then begins to do this, you don't look at that as bullishness. Why? Because you know this whole up move is to come again, test the mem block here, because we're still targeting these lows. And then we come and make that leg. That's the delivery of price in structure. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so basically, I think that at this point is where it gets a bit confusing. Because the thing is that in this particular scenario, right, there's already a break of structure on the low time frame, right? If I were to zoom in.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a break of structure here. And there's the important one is this one right here, because you're looking to go short, since technically this is your MB, you're looking to sell. So it probably comes up there like that.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
And if you think about it, what's this right here? Wyckoff, right? BC, AR, ST, UT, UTAD, breakdown. Maybe no test this time. And because it's moved so much, in the future, when it comes here, and you look to trade the test, you'll try to trade it, but it'll do this. And you'll be like, what the fuck? Why? But it's because it already met this. So it's probably now either heading for this high or even for a bigger leg, which could be this bearish leg here. You see that? Because this could be part of this move like that, which means the mem block is up here. So when this fails, it's probably targeting these highs and looking for the 50% MB of this higher time frame right here. You see that?
Okay.
You see what I'm looking at though?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. So again, this right here is the example of when people see Wyckoff and it moves and it doesn't give them a test and they think that this is the test, but it's already too late, right? Because there's already it's already shifted structure. It's already done what it needed to do. It already targeted the lows that it needed to target. So there's no reason to keep targeting.
Which means that in this case, if I miss the trade, that means I already missed it already. And there is no test to like re-enter.
Yep.
Okay.
Like for instance, just to show you an example right here, there's a distribution here, and if you had this as an area, actually that got tested. If you had this as an area to be tested, it never got tested, but it's a good area. But in the future, if it came here right now, and even if it did this, it's not a good sell. Why? Because structure has already shifted. So if price comes here, it's already breaking structure, which means you're selling into a bullish break, which is probably going to continue. You see that?
Okay.
Right? You see how some people will still watch this sell right here, even though it's already shifted structure.
Because I would actually.
Yeah. And the same thing happens on like the 4 hours. It doesn't matter, right? The idea is, if you even think about this, so yeah, like this is Wyckoff. And if you think about it, this test never happened, right? So what's going to happen is price is probably going to come here, test it, and then everyone's going to look to buy this as a test, but it's just going to break through. Why? Because structure has already shifted bearish. So it's still bearish. It's targeting these lows. It's not targeting this to keep going higher. You see that?
Okay.
Just like this right here. This is an accumulation. There's a test in here that hasn't happened yet. But if price gets here, it's already breaking this structure, which means it's probably going to go like this, get more people in, and then right through. More people in, right through. And everyone thinks this is now the schematic without recognizing that the schematic has already played out from here and from here. Those are the distributions. That's it. They've already happened. The distribution test was right here that you wanted to sell into that UTAD. See that? Beautiful sell.
Yeah.
But that's, if you didn't get that, then you wait for the next. And even on lower time frames, there's great opportunities all over the place, right? You had this accumulation, break structure, no test, but also notice how it didn't make a new structural point before testing. Came to test it, then broke. Great. But if this was an accumulation and you had this area selected right here, after this, it's done. This is canceled. Doesn't matter how good it looks, even though there's a nice demand zone in here within balance and everything, it doesn't matter. So price is going to come here, probably hit it a little bit, and then right through. And everyone's going, my springs never work! You know, like, but that's why. Just like this, there's a schematic, UTAD, break of structure. Look at that. Beautiful test. It doesn't come up, fail, and then come up. If it did that, this is false. Fake test. This comes through, test, beautiful test. Right? You see what I'm looking at there? Because it's happening with structure. It's giving you that structural play, so you know that it's still holding it. Now, there's a part of you that might see this as well. Now, this is important to consider. You might see this as a lower low, lower high, lower low. And then you could see this as a break. And you could get really confused if you see this, and then you start watching it. But if you zoom out, again, it shows you what's happening. It shows you this bullish structure here that has now failed. So you know that you're targeting these lows now. And then, even if you did watch this structure, right? Bullish, 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 bearish. Even then, it confirms it to go short. See that?
Yeah.
There you go.